Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to show you how to make classes. Okay, classes are objects. On Python, these are objects. And the way that we make classes in Python is by using the reserved word class, followed by the name of the class. In this case, it needs to be on capital letter. So the first letter needs to be on capital letter. So I'm going to say, for example, bird. Then we open parentheses here and we close the parentheses. We add the column here. And now we can add the constructor. Okay. In this case, in Python, the constructor is a function. Okay. And this function is called Init. So we're going to add here Init. And inside this bracket, inside of this opening parenthesis, we start adding one reserved word of the class, that is self. Self is referring to this object, the object that we're making. So from now on, if we are talking about inside the class, we're going to use self. For example, in this case, we're going to add name and we're going to add the age. Okay, these are the two attributes that we need to have here. Now, here I'm missing one part. The init on the name, we need to add here the same double slashes. Okay, underscore. We add it here, and now we can be able to add here the column, and now we start working inside the constructor. So start making these attributes, okay, to the class bird. We're going to use the self, okay, same one that we're using over here. We're going to use it here. Okay, so we're going to start using it, and we're going to say self, and we're going to say here name. Okay, this name is not the same one. This one, this name is already, okay, an attribute of this class. So now what we need here, say equal name, and we're going to say the same for the age. So we're going to make here age, and we're going to say age is going to be equal the age there. Okay, now we have the first structure of our class. Now we need to have some functions to access to these attributes that we already made. So the safer way to do it, okay, is with getters and setters. So for that, we're going to start adding here some getters. So we're going to start with def get name. And we're going to use the same reserved word for the class self, then we are going to close here the parentheses, okay, because we don't need to receive any parameter, okay. So now we can say here return, and we can use here self dot name. So we are returning the value that is having this object saved on the variable, okay, on the attribute name. Okay, now we are going to make the setter. So for that, the same, we're going to declare def, and we're going to say here set name. And here we're going to open parentheses, and we're going to start saying self. Now I'm going to add here comma because we are going to receive another parameter here. So we are going to say it's going to be name. We close the parentheses, and then we add the column here. Now I'm going to say here self name is going to be equal name, that way. So let's do the same for the getter and the setter of the age. We're going to say here def set age. We open the parentheses, and we call here the reserved word self, and now we can call here return self dot age. So here we're going to say here I apologize, this one is a function def get age. Okay, so I'm going to here self, okay, and I'm going to call here return. Now here I'm going to say self dot age, and we're going to return the value that is having this attribute on the object there. Now we're going to make the setter. So we're going to say def set age so we're going to say that we need the reserved word self, and now we need the age. So we're going to pass that parameter that we need, and now we can say here self dot age is going to be equal age. Okay, now this age is this one. This other one, it belongs to the class. Okay, that's why we're using self here. That's why we're using self. The same happens here. This one belongs to the class. That's why we're using self. Now, here we have two types of function, okay, of methods. This one over here, this one is a procedure. And this one over here, it's a function. Functions return a value. They make an action and they return a value. Procedures, they make an action, but they're not going to return nothing. Okay, same happens over here. This one, it's a function, and this one, it's a procedure. In this one, we are returning a value. On this one, we are not returning nothing. We are only making the action. Now that we have the structure of our class, we can call it, okay? So we can say here, import bird. And now we can use the class that we made. Now here, I'm going to make a collection of birds. Means I'm going to make here a list. Okay, this brackets over here. Okay, these ones are telling to Python that this variable is going to handle with a list. Okay, that is going to be the data type that we have. So we can add here a collection of elements. Now we need to make a loop. Okay, so let's start here by adding for x in, okay, and we're going to make a range, okay, and the range is going to be between 1 and 6. That means this loop is going to go from 1 through 5. Okay, when it gets to 5, it's going to stop. Now let's start adding here some variables, okay, to make the call. So here, let's say name going to be equal to input. And here we are going to add double quotes. Okay, we add double quotes and we say here, enter your name. Okay, in this case, we can say enter your bird name. Now we close the double quotes. You see, we have opened it, so we close it. Now that we close the double quotes, we close the parentheses. Next, we add the age. Okay, and the age is an integer value. That means we are going to need to convert. Okay, we are going to need to make a conversion from string to integer. So for that, we're going to pass this string to the int. Okay, so we're going to say here int. We open the parentheses and we say here input. We open parentheses again, and now we are going to say here enter your birth age. So I'm going to close here the first parenthesis, and I'm going to close the int. We have now the two values that we need for making our bird classes. So now I'm going to say here B is going to be equal to a new bird. So I'm going to say here bird. Now I'm going to open here my parentheses. Okay, and on this parenthesis, what I'm going to add are the attributes that we're calling here. Okay, that we already declare over here. And you see over here we have name and age. So I'm going to send here the name and the age. Now, that doesn't mean, okay, that you need to use the same name, okay, of the variable. You can use any name for these variables. It's going to understand it for you. Okay, and we close the parentheses. Now, we are going to add it, okay? So we're going to add this variable B to our list that we have here, okay? To this list that we have here. So let's say here, bird, and we're going to press the dot, and we're going to say here append. Now here, we are going to open the parentheses, and we're going to add the value that we need. This case is B, and we close that parenthesis. Okay, you see we're working inside the loop. Okay, that means he's going to repeat 5 times this action. He's going to add 5 birds. So the final step is to print these birds that we have here. There are 2 different ways that we can print it. One, we can loop this collection, okay, this list, we can loop, or the other one, we can add here the print. So let's add it, okay, for X, and we're going to in, and we're going to add here bird. Okay, so we add here bird, and now we add here the column. Now we can be printing, or we can be making here comparisons. Okay, so the best way to do this, okay, is call here print. We open here the parentheses. We're going to say here X dot get name. We add here a plus. We add here double quotes. Inside the double quotes, we add a space. And now, say again, X. Now, if we're going to add the age, we need to remember one thing. One important thing. Age is an integer. So that means we need to make a parse from integer to string. Another thing, if you see, we have age on capital letter and we have age on a small letter. So we're calling the getter. So in this case, it's going to be x dot get age. Okay, but before that, we are going to parse this. So the way that we're going to do it is with str. We open the parentheses and we add here x dot get age. We close here. Now we need to close the parentheses of the print. There, it's going to be printing the names of each one of them and the age with them. Well, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the class of today. Have a nice day and please take care. Bye.